Okay.
Yeah. So like I was telling you as well, I really like the way in which you have taken a big story and you've concised it, because you wanted to make something which would probably fit in 9 frames or 10 frames, and accordingly you decided which parts you need to take or not, but still you kept the essence of the story. Well, what we are going to do today in class is we're going to continue a little bit with the comic strip. But what we did in the last 2 sessions was that I gave you a story, and then first you had to convert that into a storyboard for a comic strip, right? You had to create scenes and understand which will come in which block, right? Then second step was that I gave you a story which was in comic form, and you had to write it in the form of a story. Some of you sent me a story, some of you didn't. Now, before we go ahead with the activity, the reason I asked you to write the story in the long form, like to break it down from comic strip and put it in a story form, is because whenever you take a big story, it gives you details of the setting, as in where is the story taking place, how is the weather, who are all in the background, how is the forest, and all of that comes in the longer version of the story or the text of the story. And when you want to convert it into a comic book, then you can decide which elements will be in the background, which elements will come as a setting on top of the rectangular window, and what will really come as dialogues, and what can be depicted in terms of sound, and what you can completely ignore. Right? So it's like having a big script, and then you decide what you want to take, what you don't want to take, and you divide it. All right. So today what we're going to do is we are going to create our very own one-page comic strip, something like this. Okay. Now we've been using the traditional way where I told you divide your book or divide your paper into 9 equal parts or 6 equal parts. So today when we are going to develop our own comic strip, and through our own character who's going to do something which is going to be a very short but a sweet story, you are going to really experiment with different forms of comic strip as well. You don't have to be stuck to 9 rectangles or 9 squares, but you can play a lot with the shapes. You can play with font. You can play with how the characters look, and you can play with color. Isabel, you want to ask me something?
No.
Okay. So should we begin with that? Yeah. So I just have a very simple presentation for you, which is just 2 slides. The first slide tells you the title. The second slide tells you what's to be done. So it's not going to be really long that you need to take a look at. But the presentation will give you all the steps that you are going to follow while making the story that you are going to create. Right from the character, you will decide how many blocks you need, and you will decide what is the background and all of it. And I'm going to take you step by step on how it can be done very easily, just in one session, but quickly, and then you can make it in fair and share it with me. So all set? Yeah. Let me just quickly ask why Nathan hasn't joined, because Nathan was supposed to join. Okay. So I'm going to share screen. Tell me if you can see. Can you see this? Visible?
Yes.
Yeah. So like I told you, just these steps, nothing elaborate, nothing, that you need to read and make notes. First and foremost, like in any story, you first need to have an idea, and you need to have a character who is going to be the main part of your story. All right. We'll just read these topics. I will quickly tell you, and then we will go on to each of them step by step. So what I really need you to do today is I want you to spend some time thinking as to what will be the character in your story. Do you want it to be an animal? Do you want it to be a person? Do you want it to be somebody with superpowers? Do you want it to be an object, a thing, something which is probably happening in space, something which is happening underwater? It may not have human characters at all. Then I want you to draw either 3, 6, or 9 frames, because that's what we did for Lion and the Mouse, right? So what is really going to happen in your story, and just put it in 3 or 6 blocks to give you the fair idea of the beginning, middle, and end of your story. And then we will go on to break it further to tell you how many blocks you will need and what will have, what will each of those blocks have. So your character, you need to find out in your story, what does your character want to achieve? Say, for example, it's a little child who is being given breakfast of cereal with milk and doesn't want to have it and decides that burgers is what he's going to have for breakfast today. And what is he going to do to achieve that? In your story, your end could be that the child is successful in getting his burger. Okay? The journey from cereal to burger, that can be your story. So what does your main character really want to achieve in the story? After that, we will put the story in the form of a written story quickly. So just to tell you what all happens, and then we will split them into dialogues and setting, and we'll put together some stick figures, and then finally we will make the cover for your book if it's more than 10 or 12 blocks. So this is basically telling you that the different steps that we're going to follow for making your comic book strip. So I'm going to give you 2 minutes to think who you want to make as your character. Okay, then we will move on to creating your story. Okay, and since there are only 3 of you, we can really spend a lot of time discussing and developing each of your stories. All right. So first think, do you want your character to be a child? Do you want yourself to be the character? Do you want it to be some animal? What do you pick? Take 2 minutes to think. Or if you already have something at the top of your head, you can just say, yes, Eva.
I want it to be a dog.
You want it to be a dog. You want it to be a dog too? Doesn't matter. You can also have a dog. Kaylin, do you also want it to be a dog? Huh? Do you?
I know,
Oh.
I know what my story is about.
Oh, really? That's superb. So wonderful. I like that all of you are so quick in deciding that you want your main character to be a dog. All right. So in your story, one by one, can you tell me what this dog is trying to achieve? What is this dog going to do in the story? Yeah. So we'll go with in the same order, Eva, Isabel, and Kaylin. Yes, Eva.
My dog could be like sick and he tries to wander the city to find a vet to help him. So like on the way, he meets many people who give him different advice. And yeah.
All right. So in your story, Eva, fantastic. It's a great plot. And does your dog succeed in finding a vet?
Yeah.
Okay. So you know that the journey is from one point A to the vet's clinic. And in the way or on the way, the dog is meeting different characters and different people. All right. First and foremost, what has happened to the dog is what you need to think about. Okay. Why? The reason being, if the dog is going to meet different characters on the way, because of what has happened to the dog, what kind of advice are each of those people going to give? So that would depend on who the character is and what kind of advice the character will give. Say for example, if it were to be an advice from a very old grandmother, she would be like, oh, you don't really need to go to the doctor. You can use these little things that are available at home, and you can cook up a nice medicine for yourself and just drink it. It could be very bitter, but you'll still feel better than that. Or he could meet somebody who's like a technology geek who would say, oh, I've seen this app and this is what it reads and maybe this is what is wrong with you. And everybody, so the character has to be associated with the advice that they give the dog. All right. So one is what is wrong with the dog, and two, who are all the people giving advice? So how many people are going to give advice also you have to think. All right. And then finally, what makes the dog go to the vet? So this is the pattern in which you're going to think, which will lead to the end of your story. Okay. So Eva, I'm going to leave you on that thought. I want you to think, and then we'll come back to you once I finish speaking with Isabel and Kaylin. Yes, Isabel, tell me about your story.
So I thought that there will be two dogs in the story.
Mm-hmm.
And there'll be a girl and a boy. So one girl owns a little, I forgot the name, breed. I forgot the breed, but I know it. I know how it looks, but I forgot the name of it.
Recall, no problem, no problem. Take your time. Okay. So the girl has one breed and the boy has another breed, like two different
Yeah,
breeds.
the boy has a golden.
Sorry?
The boy has a golden retriever.
Boy has a golden retriever. Does the girl have a lab? A lab?
No, it has like
A poodle?
it's like the one that Kyra has. I think it's a short-haired Havanese or something.
I don't know what kind of dog Kyra has, so maybe one of you can help Isabel with it.
It's a short-haired Havanese.
Short-haired Havanesian. Okay, okay, okay.
It's a very fluffy one.
Hmm.
So the girl doesn't have much money, so she only gets these small bones for the short-haired Havanese, and her name is Pom Pom, the short-haired Havanese, and the girl's name is Lucy.
Mm-hmm.
So she only gets small bones for her, and she only can get them once a month.
Okay.
But the boy with the golden retriever, the boy's name is Johnson, and the dog's name is, I think I'll call it Jack.
Okay.
So they are kind of like rich, and they get the dog a lot of bones, like big ones, like once a week.
Mm-hmm.
Not only is it once a month, small bones, but big bones at least once a week.
Mm-hmm.
So Pom Pom is feeling jealous, so she wants to chase. So she wants to sneak and get the dog. Before that, she wants to make friends with the dog so she can borrow some of his bones sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And then they both don't know that their owners are friends.
Okay.
So then once they make friends, they realize, she asks, "Can I have your bone?" He says, "Okay, but did you know that my owner can get you one for yourself?" They're both friends with he's friends with your owner.
Mm-hmm.
So if your owner, if it's okay, then he'll get you one. So then in the end, she asks her owner, but then she realized she can't speak to the owner because she's
Okay.
a dog.
Right.
So then she knows her owner taught her how to write English.
Oh. Wow. So
So
this
they
dog has the capacity to write English. Fabulous.
where the other one doesn't write English. He doesn't speak any other language. Although the Pom Pom can write English, he speaks Chinese and French.
Wow.
So she wrote to the dog. I mean, she wrote on a paper to her owner, and she gave it to her owner. And then the owner said, okay, she could understand the owner, but she couldn't speak to the owner. So then she said, okay. So she went to ask the dog, "Can I borrow?" My owner said, okay. "Can you ask your owner, please?" Then he said, okay. Then he asks his owner. He says that she only gets small bones because she is a small dog. No, sorry. Her owner says, no, you can ask, but I don't know if there are big ones for you, but you can ask Jack. I mean, you can ask Johnson if he can find you the bone you're looking for. She knew the bone that she was looking for, but she never knew that she couldn't have it. So then she goes and asks the other dog. The other dog asks his owner, but his owner says that he cannot bring Pom Pom home bone because she's a different breed and she's not allowed to have that bone. So then she figures out that she can make some money and then she'll get the bones once a week. And then, yeah, the end. It's pretty long. I'll figure out how to make
See,
it.
if your story is long, I don't mind. I like the way it's going as well. But I find that it has ended abruptly because you want your dog to get the bone in the end, right? Because it's so there are two ways to look at this story, okay, Isabel? One is that Pom Pom is getting small bones and she is really, really greedy. I mean, like, she's really tempted to get the big bones which Jack is eating. All right. And so when she decides to speak with her owner through writing, she understands that she doesn't get the big bone because she's a smaller dog and that kind of bone is not meant for her. So option one is your story starts and finishes in this way. Because anyway, Pom Pom is like quite a cool dog, can understand Chinese and French and can write English. Wow. I mean, I'm just imagining her in probably a suit, to go to be off to go to work. That kind of Pom Pom. Now, the second thing is if you're saying that Pom Pom is poor and that's why she can't have the bigger bones and so she gets only smaller bones, not as frequently as Jack does, then you can't say that you can't have the big bone because then she can always ask for smaller bones, right? And
No, but she thinks that she's poor. That's why she gets the small bones.
okay, now see, that's the thing.
But
So
the
Lucy is not really poor.
because of her breed that she doesn't get it every
So Lucy
week.
is not really poor. Then tell me, do you really want to add the element of how she can earn her own bones? Like how she can work? Because if you're going to say that, then you got to say that, then Pom Pom decides to get a job for herself.
Okay.
But the truth is that she realizes the smaller bones are meant for her, not the bigger ones. So then why is she tempted to get a job? Is there some other reason?
No, so her owner never told her. So the first day she went to work, the owner thought that she was lost.
So then probably it could be like a series because in the first part, so there are comic books which come in series, right? Because otherwise it just keeps on dragging. So you have a first part of your story which talks about Pom Pom who thinks she's poor and so she gets only these many bones, blah blah blah, and what happens? And finally, she thinks that anyway I'm not going to get the big bone, and my owner's not able to understand, so I must go get a job. And then the second book is Pom Pom gets a job.
Okay.
And then you have a more structured story because here there are so many ideas, but they're all being pushed inside one story. Then that's too much of, too many things happening in one story itself. So I want you to first decide how much do you want to tell in your part one. You can always do series. It's quite interesting. Maybe in your part two of the story, Pom Pom understands, Pom Pom has an adventure taking up a job and everything, but comes back and with the money, when she herself also goes to get something for herself, she's still given small bones. She's quite confused, as to why she's getting small bones. And then part three can be Pom Pom solve the mystery of the small bones, which is when she realizes that, that's my breed. So no matter how much money I'm going to make, I'm still going to get small bones. And it's not that Lucy is poor. I got what I was meant to eat. Are you getting that point, Isabel?
Yeah.
So here what happens is you have much more structure to your story and you go step by step in each of those parts. So at first you only speak about how disheartened Pom Pom is feeling. In the second part, you speak about how she's going to find her own way to, solve this problem. But still it's a mystery because she's still getting smaller bones. Yeah. So you can actually make 9 frames part 1, 9 frames part 2, 9 frames part 3.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
And then it's also interesting because the reader is like, oh, okay, so the dog's going to get a job. What job is the dog going to do? Oh, still the dog cannot find, still the dog is getting smaller bones. Why? I want to know. And the third part solves the mystery.
Okay.
Okay. So I want you to start putting your thoughts together in the form of a story or those little boxes. Remember I told you? So you know how much, So don't reveal till the end that it's because of her breed that Pom Pom is not getting those small bones. Don't reveal it.
Okay.
Does that seem like a good suggestion to you? Yeah. Because you remember, girls, you have to make the story very interesting for your reader. They should be eager to know. Like, say, for example, in Eva's story, I'm eager to find out who are the characters and what crazy advice are they going to give a dog when he's sick, and what is the illness that the dog has. So whenever you put that element of, suspense, the reader gets very curious to know, to try and find out what's happening. All right.
Okay.
So I'll leave you on that and I'll go to Kayleen. Yes, Kayleen.
My dog is one who gets thrown out by his owner
Mm-hmm.
and is on the street just looking for a new owner.
Okay.
Lots of people adopted him, but he didn't like it, so he always would try to get away. And then finally he got away. And then he kept looking on the streets for one owner that would care for him very nicely.
Mm-hmm.
So then he kept on searching. Lots of people adopted him, but he didn't want to be with a person.
Okay.
So he kept searching and searching. And then finally he found one little girl who really loves dogs and was taking care of him very nicely. So he decided he wanted to be with that little girl. So then both of them cared for each other very nicely. Sometimes the dog would sometimes help her in some stuff, and the girl will help the dog in many ways. Both of them lived also a very happy life.
Okay, very interesting. I quite like the way your story is progressing. 1 minute, let me just finish this up. I'm going to again post the second link for you all to join after some time. Okay, I'll tell you when to copy paste it and then you can join me. Okay, so Karen, I quite like your story. In your story, the things I want you to think about is that why does the owner throw away this dog? Why does he get thrown away by the owner? What is the reason? All right. And how does the dog feel after being thrown away? Eva, you want to ask me something?
No, my hand got raised by accident.
Okay, no problem. Okay, so Kaelan, I like it that so you will first think on why does the owner throw away the dog? Why doesn't he want the dog any longer? Why doesn't she want the dog anymore? The second thing I want you to think about is who are the different people who adopt the dog? All right, like in Eva's story, how many characters? Maybe you can put three people, three different people. And why is it that though these people are kind enough to adopt this dog, still he doesn't like them? You have to think of three reasons why and who are these people. And finally, what is special about this girl who adopts this dog? And how, in the end, of course, the dog is very happy with the new owner. That's your story, right? So I want you to think about these elements. Why? Because everybody wants to know that why will an owner want to throw away his own pet or just abandon, not throw away literally, abandon his pet? Are they moving somewhere or did they forget the dog somewhere? Did he get lost? Or maybe something happened between the dog and the owner? No idea what. So can you think of something why the dog is abandoned by the first owner? And maybe you can think about three completely different people, maybe an old man, a little girl, and a very, very energetic boy. All the three characters who adopt the dog should be totally different from each other. So you can actually add elements to their personality. You understand, Kaelan, what I mean?
Yes.
So each of them should have a personality which makes the dog feel, oh no, I don't want to be with them. Like, no, maybe the old man is like really sloppy and he's dirty and his house is like a mess and the dog is like disgusted by everything. Maybe the boy who adopts him is like super energetic and he just expects the dog to keep on doing something like, he's a racehorse or maybe sits on him and really, I mean, he loves him, but really physically exhausts the dog. So you can think of different characters who would like to adopt the dog. And then you can talk about the final character who comes in to take the dog. So what I want you girls to do is I want you to think of your story. put them in the boxes, either in 6 boxes or 9 boxes. Just write a few sentences so we know what each of them will have, and then we will convert them into a comic strip. Now, this is different from the entire large story where you have to write paragraphs and paragraphs. But here you're going to just break your story into the different sections, and then we'll decide how that section is going to look. You get it?
Yeah.
Fantastic. So we don't need to still leave the meeting because we still have about 6 odd minutes. Have you all got the link on the chat?
Yes.
Yes. So I'll tell you when you can copy it and paste it, and we can move to the next meeting. Okay. Until then, you can continue writing. And since you only have to make frames and not create very big sentences, I think 5 minutes is a good amount of time just to, kind of know how your story gets broken down. Okay.
I thought of my story and I thought of 3 people to give advice to the dog and what happened to him.
Oh, that's wonderful. Would you like to share it?
So like it would be winter season for the dog, but he's only a stray, so he doesn't have a proper home or any warmth. So he gets a very bad cough and cold. So he tries to go to the vet to help it, and on the way he meets 3 people. An old person, a little girl, and someone who is obsessed with technology, like you said. So the little girl takes him home and rubs oil on his chest, like how she does when she has a cough.
Okay,
but it didn't work because he was a dog, not a human. He said thank you and left. Next, he met an old grandma who cooked chicken soup for him.
How sweet.
So to help him get better, but it didn't work. And then he met someone who was very obsessed with technology, and they tried to use an app, but it didn't work on dogs because he was an animal, not a human.
Okay.
Finally, he met someone who felt pity, and instead of trying all homemade remedies and stuff like that, just took it to the vet. And the solution was very simple. He was just out in the cold too much, so they just kept him in the warm vet for a few days till he felt better.
Very sweet. It's a very, very sweet story, and just so simple. Sometimes simple stories themselves have so much of emotion and everything in them that it feels very nice. It's put a smile on my face, Eva. I really love listening to the story, and I'm so tempted to have chicken soup myself. Just listening to the dog slurping away chicken soup. Of course, it's not raining here today, so maybe another day. Today, I'm going to have tomato soup because I've already made it in the morning. All right. So I think copy the next chat link. I will end this meeting once you all have copied it, and then I'll see you in the next meeting. All right. And then we can further discuss on how you can prepare your comic strip. Okay. Have you all copied the link?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm waiting for you to start the meeting.
Yes. Kaylin, have you copied the link?
Yes.
Okay. All right.